the age of 18, I had only been to the dentist once. I noticed that when I was brushing my teeth, I was spitting blood. I'm going to be unalive very soon. And that I have a horrible infection in each one of my quadrants of my mouth, the two bottom and the two top. What's up, YouTube? Shout out to Alien Army, checking in. So my video before this was navigating life without a home. And there was a phone call I had with Angel, and when I was talking with her, we talked about three different little things about dentists, and a couple of them are kind of big stories, so it popped in my head to maybe go ahead and jump in here and talk to you guys about that. So I'm gonna jump straight into those dentist stories that Angel and myself had briefly touched on or whatever. So before a little bit of context, before the age of 18, I had only been to the dentist once. It was when I was a kid. I think I was around 5 or 7 years old. That was the only dentist appointment I had till my early 30s, if I remember correctly. I mean, I was at least over 30 years old. Never went to the dentist after that. So before the age of 18, when I had, I was, underneath my family's care and everything else like that, they thought it was, they thought it was okay to only take your kids to the dentist maybe once. Just a side note as well, that we grew up very poor. If there wasn't a problem, they weren't going to fix it. And then on top of that, if it was a problem, we tried to do a lot of things with home remedies and things like that. Real quick, just to let you know too, when I broke my arm as a kid, the hospital, we couldn't afford to even have it taken off, and too many questions were being asked at the free hospital, which I think was like the county hospital. So my cast was actually removed at my house. Every time I got stitches, and I got over 150 stitches on my face, I've been busted up a lot. It's just life in general. All that stuff has been at the county hospital as well, and I've never had medical insurance my whole life. Even though when I was a truck driver, even though when I worked for the state, and I worked for over 14 years in the medical field, all the jobs I ever had, never had medical insurance. You might ask yourself, how do I get blood pressure pills? Well, this is kind of funny. How do I take high blood pressure pills? I use an app on my phone. It's $15 a month, something along those lines, 15-20 bucks. And I see an online doctor, and I actually have a blood pressure monitoring machine, and that's how I do it. And I take blood tests once a year, and of course I do physicals, and I did physicals for my class A. But I want to get into the story. I had never been to the dentist since I was a kid. Only one time. There was no cavities, nothing crazy. I'm in my 30s at this point, so let's fast forward. So I've only been in the dentist one time in my life. Now I'm in my 30s. I was still doing working in the healthcare, and then on top of that, I had different side jobs at different times. But at this particular time, I was doing the marketing and the internet website development, making websites, marketing campaigns and all that stuff. And then also the guy I worked for did seminars, and I was responsible for a lot of the tickets being sold, and discount codes on the website, and then also reaching out, and so getting the stuff sold. And then I was teaching marketing classes for that as well. A lot of stuff you might say, man, that sounds like it's really important. Dude, I was getting $300 a week. Okay, it was supposed to be a part-time job. I'm working over full-time hours, and I'm only getting paid $300 a week. I was being promised, hey, when we start making even more money and blah blah blah. My first year working there, I made the guy over $200,000, and I was getting paid $300 a week. That just goes to show you, you don't get rich by working for somebody else. You know what I mean? In most cases. But and I'm a real shy person. I have a lot of anxiety and stuff like that, and I'm on stage, teaching, over 200 people at a big old seminar, and these weren't little places. These were, high dollar places. So like top of the line, everything. This guy spared no expense, and we brought in a lot of money. And the whole goal was, we lost money on these marketing places, these seminars. We lost money initially. The whole goal, and that was only because he wouldn't lower it. He wouldn't lower it. He wanted the best hotels. He wanted the best venues. He wanted the best catering. He wanted, all sorts of stuff. I remember some of the catering bills being over $20,000, and all it included was water, soda, and tea and coffee, and it being $20,000. And then also we did it at some hotels, and we also did it at some other venues. Some of the hotels, they would go ahead and be like, you can't bring outside people. So we were subject to having to use their in staff. And when it was their in staff, now we're looking at over $30,000, $40,000 just for deli sandwiches. Not to mention, like all sorts of stuff. But initially, because he wanted that top dollar, I'm like, hey, we can make a whole lot of money if we lower, just lower it a little bit. For $20,000 of catering, I mean, there's weddings that don't even have that. You know what I mean? A lot of places don't have that, but nonetheless, uh, some people actually enjoy when I talk about this side stuff because I actually, these are the finer details of things. Nonetheless, I want to talk about, making money real quick. So, nonetheless, with that, how we ended up making money was the amount of leads we got. So, because he wouldn't lower his standard of where he wanted to have these seminars, and it was all over the state. We went nationwide with it, and with doing it nationwide and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't have to pay for my hotel, and I didn't have to pay for my airplane. I didn't have to pay for food while I was there, but everything else I did. And if I had to take an Uber to help somebody out or meet up with him and do some like assistant type stuff, he always paid my Uber, or he would go ahead and cash at me money for me to go ahead and, because I'm out of state, I don't have my car with me and things like that. So we made money from the leads we got, and we built relationships that were going to be very fruitful, and they always ended up. So initially, we weren't making money off ticket sales and stuff like that. We did make money off of the amount of leads. Our very first, I guess, conference you might want to call, it was something like 17 leads, and each one of those leads ended up paying out over $10,000. So that alone, but I wasn't responsible for all 17 leads. I just helped cultivate that for him. You know what I mean? Like, I was a part of that. But my very first year alone, just me and what I implemented made him over $200,000. But this is beside the point. I just wanted to throw that out there. Anybody who's ever hired me to make that money, I've always made them money. But we're gonna get into that. So I was teaching all those marketing classes, and I was working really close with the real estate agents and wholesales and stuff like that. And you might say, well, what does that have to do with the dentist stuff that you and Angel were talking about? I was self-conscious about my teeth. I wanted them wider. So, like, my teeth were white as far as I'm concerned. When I smile, nobody ever said, hey, you got a butter tooth or something like that. I always, I keep up with my hygiene. However, I wanted my teeth whiter. So I started switching around toothpaste. And upon doing so, I had started using Crest 3D. And I noticed that when I was brushing my teeth, I was spitting blood. Like, every time I brushed my teeth, and I probably shouldn't say that word too many times on YouTube. So moving forward, the word for what I just got done saying spitting up, I'm gonna say the word in Spanish, sangre. Every time I was brushing my teeth, I spit sangre, and upon doing that, I started getting really, really worried. So I stopped the toothpaste, and I switched to what I was normally using, and it kept happening. And then it kept happening, I went ahead and changed the toothbrush to a softer bristle and things like that. And then it got to a point where I didn't even have to brush my teeth. All I had to do was spit. So, like, just gathering saliva in your mouth and doing it. Sangre came. I was pretty damn scared. Looking in the mirror, my gums looked a little bit funny, but my teeth looked fine. I got really strong teeth. I've had a lot of people, I'm really good at blocking punches. I've been in a lot of fights, right? A lot of the punches land right directly on my mouth, and they end up breaking their hand. I'm being sarcastic, but I'm also being the truth. Of course, I'm not going to try to block with my mouth, block my hands and the top of my head. Let somebody hit, one thing about me that the videos don't convey, I have a very hard head and a very hard mouth, and you might think I got a punchable face until you hit me, and you find out just how hard my damn skull is and how hard my bones are. I have had people break their hands on my mouth. Even a flat, direct, nice boxer 1-2 with everything they got hitting me my two front teeth, and the person broke their knuckles and broke their fingers. I don't know what fingers and stuff like that. I just know that it ended the fight instantly because that guy started shaking his hand, and it's my turn to go. Like, now that you got hurt, you want to stop. That's not how things work. Like I said, I kept on spitting up sangre, and I got worried about it, and I went and I talked to my mom. I had stopped by her house. I talked to her, and I showed her, and I asked her, like, what the hell. I was telling her before, like, when I started getting concerned and I started telling Angel about it, I was like, what the hell, and Angel was coming into town. She one of the things is that she her primary job, like, why I got to see her like almost once a month, and like I was friends with her before they started sending her out to where I used to live, where I'm from. She worked at a place, and they started sending her out there to work on that specific like contract that they had going on. So when she come over there, I'd pick her up from the airport, and they got her an Airbnb or a hotel. I think it was most of the time it was a hotel, and they flew her in certain places. They at the time, I don't believe they would do rent a car, but they would pay for Uber or Lyft, or they had their own transportation. Me, since I was from that state and I wasn't very far away and having a car, I'd go pick her up and hang out and all that kind of stuff. I even went to a bunch of her company meetings to get free food and stuff like that. That go to show, they had a arcade, like little like company picnics or whatever, or like a company outing. And if she was there, I always got invited. It was a lot. In that phone call, she was saying, back then I'd be more willing to go out places. Like my anxiety and my PTSD wasn't so bad that I could go ahead and go places like getting me to go to Taco Bell and being around people is, I just look miserable according to her, and I probably do. So when she was coming, I found out she was coming out in like a week, and I'm like, all right, would you be willing to go to the dentist with me, and would you help me find one? There's a lot of things I'm good at researching and finding. However, there's some people out there that are better than me. You know what I mean? Like, and she's better at that. Like anything with paperwork or anything that I might need a second opinion on. I do refer to her a lot, and she's very knowledgeable. We go ahead and she schedules it. We go to there, and it turns out that I have a periodontist. My jaw is shrinking, and the gums are staying the same size. I'm probably saying it more nicer than what it is. It's a terrible thing, and I cued it to only ever being to the dentist once, even though you stay up on top of your hygiene. That time that I was a kid and I went to the dentist, I don't even think I got a cleaning. All I think I got was just a regular checkup. Go there, they check the pockets of my stuff. They tell me that what it's going to cost. Man, I paid something like over $2,000. They had to do like a deep rooting thing, and man, she was Angel sat next to me, and they kept asking me if I was okay, and I was like, you guys are starting to worry me. Why do you keep asking that? They're like, this isn't the most amount of sangre we've seen, but it's close. And Angel was like, man, your mouth was bleeding so bad. I shouldn't say that word, but the word is sangre. So I go ahead and root scaling, I think that's what it's called, root scaling, and then they use this laser thing, and then they pack it with all sorts of stuff, and then they're like, this should stop it, and it did for a little bit. And they're like, you still need to come in every 2 or 3 months and have the laser done and things like that. The time that Angel went to the dentist with me, right? So why she went to the first one was that. The second part of the story that we talked about is that when I was on the phone with her. Okay, and like when that same dentist place called her and said that they needed to, you need to calm down, Alien. I thought I could heal myself without having to keep going there every couple of months and dropping a lot of money. And I noticed that my teeth weren't bleeding. My gums were not, pouring out sangre or anything like that. And I was just babying them. I was doing my little home remedy type stuff, and I thought everything was okay. Until I started brushing my teeth again. Well, not brushing my teeth again like I stopped, but just one day it came back. And when it came back, oh, that's what it was. I ate corn. I ate corn on the cob. And I ate corn on the cob, and I had noticed that a lot of it was getting between my teeth, and I was using a toothpick, and I was being very gentle. After that, my gums were like messed up, and it kept on pouring out sangre every time that I brushed my teeth. And they said that they do root scaling and everything else like that again. I said, okay. Paid almost $2,000 right then and there. I'm somebody who was living paycheck to paycheck, so every time that I thought I could save something, it's going one hand and out the other. So I do that, and then she says to me, she's like, we're probably going to get a specialist to take a look at you because, she said the same thing. Are you okay, Alien? Are you okay, Alien? And she's sucking up sangre out of my mouth and everything else. And when she's doing that, she's making me, very, very nervous. Then from there, I go ahead and I actually fly out to where Angel's from. And this is, a couple weeks later, I fly out to where Angel's from. This is before the lockdown and before the pandemic and everything else. I hang out with her. I hang out with her husband. I hang out with her kids. You know, like it was a cool time. Like I had finally planned a vacation. You know, a few days later, I had an Airbnb and everything. The only thing I didn't have was a car. So when I was here, Angel was showing me the same courtesy of when she used to fly out for her company stuff. I would drive her around and be a good friend and stuff. She did the same thing. I hanged out with her, met a bunch of other people, and got to know everyone. You know, which was really cool. I fly back. When I fly back, it's not even a week later. I get reminded I got to go see the dentist specialist, and I started having a weird feeling. I started feeling like, man, what if a specialist? You know, what if they say something really is wrong? You know what I mean? So I go to my dentist's office, and they had a specialist there. That particular specialist did work with people who had periodontists and a few other things, if I remember correctly, at least periodontists, and my dental hygienist and the actual dentist that ran that office. They had both told me that they recommend me seeing her. Recommended me seeing a specialist that they're bringing into that office. When the lady's there, I go ahead because they didn't tell me anything crazy like, hey, you know, this is looking bad. They're like, you know, hey, we need to refer to a specialist and consult. So I didn't think anything too crazy about all of it, right? But excuse me, the night before or a couple days before, when I found out that I had to go see the specialist, I started thinking that, you know, what if I get told bad news? What if I get told things are, you know, aren't so good? You know, like how am I gonna prepare myself? You know, but I didn't want to stress myself out. I go there. She takes a look at everything, and she tells me some really bad news. She doesn't say. She doesn't. I want to say it so I don't get in trouble. She says I'm going to be unalive very soon, and that I have a horrible infection in each one of my quadrants of my mouth, the two bottom and the two top, or however many there is. I think there's 4 quadrants, but I could get into your bloodstream that I'll have a stroke or a heart attack or something like that, and that she says it's not if, it's when, and it could be as soon as tomorrow or a week. She says on top of all that stuff, all your teeth will fall out, and you know, they'll fall out together. You won't feel any pain; they'll just all pop out. And I was like, really? And I started figuring out. She went ahead and started doing some stuff in my mouth, my gums. Does this gum test and shows me this pus, and she's like, this is poison. If it gets in your bloodstream, you're done with. She's like, I'm not even prepared right now to do an emergency surgery, but to save your life, that's what I'm going to have to do. And she's like, and I don't know what you can afford, but any, you know, nothing's worth more than you being here. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk to the people in the office, and they're gonna come talk to you. She goes ahead and does that. They show me all the proof. The owner of the dentist place comes in there as well and shows me, and he gives me his recommendation. He wants to do his test and confer with the specialist, and he does that, and he says, yeah, Alien, yeah, it's not if, it's when, and I think I can't put a time on it, but I would say less than a week. This is going to get in your bloodstream, and you're going to be done. They go ahead and run the numbers, and it's expensive. I don't remember the first original price, but it was over $17,000. I had they were able to help me get a $12,000 credit card that you can only use on your health. I forget the name of the card, and they were willing. This office doesn't do this. You know, they were willing to, because I had been there so many times, and it was such a serious case. They were willing to give me a line of credit, both lines of credit with no interest. The one for $12,000, I had to pay it back in a certain amount of time, otherwise I would get hit with interest. Their office, no interest whatsoever, and it was for $5,000, so it was a total of $17,000. Something I wasn't prepared to do, you know, at all. I go ahead and I call Angel, because I still work with she worked for this, that part-time media marketing job that I had with the websites and all that stuff. That the person I worked for, and like I had explained earlier, she worked in a different capacity for him as well, but that wasn't her primary job. She worked that part-time, but it was part-time, but she worked full-time hours. I was part-time, but I worked full-time hours. She made more money than I did, though. But I made a whole lot of money for that company. She made a whole lot of money too, but she wasn't doing the marketing stuff. She was doing something else, and I don't want to get into it. It's private. So nonetheless, I call her and I tell her, I go, man, this is going to be expensive. I start asking about that job, like, hey, that I've made this person a website, or what about this? I go, uh, you know, like, do I have some security here? You know what I mean? Basically, that's what I asked her. Like, do I have security here? Is this something where after I get this procedure done, I need to go ahead and quit and then start looking for a second job? Like, quit this job and work full time somewhere else that actually pays more money. Is this going to be beneficial? What was her thoughts? I think her thoughts were, I think the advice she gave me was this is something you need no matter what. Do this and save yourself, and then you can figure it out. So it might have even been 18,000, because I remember I paid $1,000. So maybe it was $18,000 in total, and I paid $1,000 right then and there. That was my at the time. I think that might have been my last $1,000 that I had tucked away. Every time you save something, you those paycheck to paycheck, mouth to mouth. There was at that time. I didn't have registration for my vehicle, and I didn't have insurance, but I was trying to save myself. You know what I mean? I couldn't afford this. I didn't have medical insurance. I didn't have dentist insurance. By the time this all happened, they weren't going to take anybody who had already had issues. You know what I'm saying? Or if they did, it would be a couple of years before that kind of stuff kicked in. It's just a bunch of bull crap. So she tells me all that stuff, and she's like, hey, she wasn't even ready for something like this. She's like, and I'm like, all right. So, but she's gonna get ready, and you're gonna be you're gonna be just fine. They take my blood pressure. When they take my blood pressure is through the roof. You just got news like that. I already had high blood pressure. At the time I wasn't taking blood pressure pills, I didn't know it was an issue. I know that every time I went to the dentist, they said my blood pressure was high, but they said it could be white coat syndrome, where I get nervous before I get tested, and I still have that. Even though I take blood pressure pills now and I have it managed, and I do okay, that if I know I'm going to get tested, there's some things that I've learned across the ways to make sure that I can calm myself down. But if I don't do that, and you take my blood pressure pill, my blood pressure, it's going to be through the roof. You know what I mean? So I have a thing called white coat syndrome. A lot of people have it. Basically, the being scared to be tested. That's how it goes. So she's trying to talk me into taking laughing gas, and she's saying that it would calm me down, and it would lower my blood pressure. And she's telling me it's no different. It's going to feel just like what Snoop Dogg does. You know what I'm saying? Inhaling. And I said, I absolutely hate the way that stuff feels. I go, I don't like it. I go, if it's anything like that, then the answer is absolutely no. She's like, okay, I'm gonna give you Novocaine. And basically this procedure is her taking a scalpel and then cutting from the back of my gum, all the way from the back of the tooth, and cutting all the way, and then opening it up like a damn taco, and then scraping all the stuff, the bacteria and the pus and the infection out, and then washing it and cleaning it and disinfecting it, and then flapping it over, and then sewing it. And she's got to do that on all four sides. I didn't know that's what she was going to do. I didn't know it was going to be cut up like this. I had no idea. I still won't even look at a video of somebody having that done. She told me that there was other ways to have it cured, but that this, and she showed me the stuff in the dentist's book. This is the most painful and the hardest healing, but it is the most effective. And then also when she cuts the gum and gets the infection out, when she puts the gum together, she's going to sew it in such a manner that it hugs my teeth closer, so that I don't have pockets. And not having these pockets by your teeth means that there's a less chance of bacteria getting in there and then continuing the periodontist of eating my jaw, the top and the bottom. It sucks, but life, diseases happen. You know what I mean? So they put these like bags in my mouth, and these bags instantly numb my cheeks. She shoots up this side, this side, this side, this side, and then she hits the top, and also in the back, like whatever's close by your throat. She's shooting me up with heavy doses of Novocaine. This is the first time I've ever had Novocaine in my life, and I absolutely can't stand it. Um, there's a natural reaction of uh, of adrenaline with it, and I've mentioned before when fight and flight, the adrenaline puts you in a fight and flight mode. Novocaine is known for doing that. On top of which, I'm somebody who in those situations I do fight. Like I don't back down and cower. So I'm feeling that, and I can't feel myself breathe. I can't feel myself swallowing. I can't feel my throat. I can't feel my whole face. My lips feel like it's falling off my face. It feels like everything's melting. When that happens, I have a full blown panic attack, and I'm hyperventilating. And they give me a bag to start breathing in, and I can't talk, and I'm gasping for air, and it feels like I can't breathe because I can't feel myself inhale air. And then when that's going on, I can't tell if saliva is building in my mouth and that I'm going to be choking on it. So I start spitting on the ground and spitting in my hand, and it tasted like copper. So I thought it was bleeding. I thought it was sangre, and I'm spitting everywhere, and I'm screaming, and I'm throwing a fit, and I don't know else how to explain it, but I frightened everybody in that room, and they ran out, and I'm not proud about that at all. I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't, but I was acting like a lunatic. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to pass out and not wake up. I was inhaling in a bag. I'm spitting. I'm, I don't know. I don't look at myself like an intimidating person, but like you've heard Angel say before, when I get mad or upset or I get scared and I turn it into anger or pain, I become kind of a different person, and or people who don't know me don't know how to take me. Like I look like I'm a lunatic who's capable of anything when I'm in a mode like that, and they're probably not wrong, you know what I mean? But I'm a big teddy bear. Like I'm not going to just hurt somebody for no reason. I do it for, I would do something like that to defend myself or people that I love. They run out of the room, and the surgeon, or whoever you want to call it, the specialist, she's freaked out bad. Like when she ran out of that room, screaming. She's like, I can't be in there. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I had Angel as my emergency contact from the very first time of me being there. They call her, the receptionist call her and say, Alien is freaked out, and we need you to calm him down. He was already at a point of us almost calling an ambulance because of his blood pressure being so high. He's in there, and he's flailing around, and he's breathing through a bag, and tells her all this stuff. And she says, call his cell phone, and she called my phone. I don't even hear it. So she called my phone 3 times in a row, evidently. And then I'm still flying around there. The receptionist calls her back, and she's like, he's not answering. She either calls her Angel back, or Angel calls back there, and it's like, he's not answering the phone. Is he okay? Is he alive in there? You know what's going on? She's like, I'm gonna call you. The receptionist says, I'm gonna call you on my cell phone, and I'm gonna hand him the phone. And she does that, and she asks me what's going on, and I'm talking and dribbling and just drooling and telling her I can't breathe, and that I can't feel myself swallow, and that my mouth feels funny and my face feels funny, and that what they had told me earlier. She starts speaking Spanish and asks me in Spanish. I'm not fluent, but she is. She's fluent in a bunch of languages. She asks me, can the specialist, can she speak Spanish, and can her assistant speak Spanish and stuff like that? And I said no, and she's like, okay. She's like, I'm going to talk to you why they're in when they come in there, And I said okay. So they come back in there, and I had her on speakerphone, and the phone was on my chest, and this lady and I had no idea. And when she's doing it, she's like, let me know if you need more Novocaine, if you can feel this. And I'm like, I don't need any more Novocaine. I don't. And certain at little tiny parts I could feel a little bit, but it's not, I have a high tolerance to pain, but she is slashing with the scalpel, cutting my gums up, and it's over 150 stitches inside my mouth. If you ever see me move I didn't used to move my face like that. It still feels funny to me, even though it's been years later. So she does that, and when Angel needs to talk to me about something that's private, she's speaking to me in Spanish, and if I have a moment, I'll answer back. But she's just talking and keeping me calm. That lady who did that, I believe she was Filipino or something like that, and she's actually started humming and singing to me to calm me down, which was extremely nice and very sweet. So that was the second part of the dentist stuff. The third one was so like, you know, she had went to me on my first cleaning. The second thing that I did was, you know, I went there and they told me I need to see a specialist. I see the specialist. When I see the specialist, they have to call her. It's quite embarrassing. I didn't mean to freak out like that, but everybody's human, even though I'm an alien. Then the next thing that happened was I'm out here living here, and one of my snacks that I used to take was these soft, chewy bars, granola bars. They're called, I think they're called Soft and Chewy from Quaker Oats or something like that. They're about 100 calories each, and they're a good snack, and they're so easy to open when you're driving a truck if you need to have a quick snack. And I'm driving at nights, and I was eating one of those. And when I was eating one of those, I felt like something was bothering my wisdom tooth. And the next day, I check it out bring the camera and the mirror, and I'm taking a look at it, and I got a big hole in my wisdom tooth, and it's on this side. And it's got this big hole in it, and it hurts, like not just when I eat food, but breathing, and it's this constant pain. It gets sharp. It was sharp pains when I was eating something, but most of the time it was just this annoying, like it felt like an alarm clock that didn't shut up, is what it felt like in my mouth. And the pain was, you know, my pain levels are different. I would probably say it was at a 7 to an 8. You know, it wasn't crazy, and then it started being a 9 and a 10 around after 2 weeks. And then I was like, you know, all right, I need to have this thing pulled. You know, I need to have it pulled or have them fixed. But it was right where the gum line was to where the tooth was, the wisdom tooth. It was a hole that started right at the gum line, so I knew that they had to yank it, or at least that's what I thought. I tell Angel, she's like, you know, why didn't you tell me when this first happened? Why you always do it last minute? And I'm like, you know, I thought I could protect myself. I thought it was no big deal. I thought the stupid thing would shut up after 2 weeks. You know what I mean? She finds a place, and I ask her, of course, you know, can you please come down there and everything else. We go in there, and they take a look at it, do the X-rays. They're like, yeah, we got to pull. They're like, do you want to save it or pull it? So they actually give me the option. I go, well, if saving it means that, you know, if you recommend that I save it and it costs more money, I'll do it. However, if you recommend that I need to pull it and it's cheaper, then I'll do that as well. What is your honest recommendation? And they're like, honestly, your mouth is crowded. We need to pull it. And we don't even think we could save it. But if you wanted to save it and spend thousands, we can try. And I was like, no, just pull the damn thing. It's the first time I ever had my tooth pulled. I'm freaked out because when I had that big surgery in my mouth and everything else, that Novocaine didn't end in 5 or 6 hours. It was 2 days later. Like, I'm telling you, 2 days later, I barely started getting the feeling in my lips. That lady, and I thought she probably shot me up with a little bit more than average. However, I'm hypersensitive to Novocaine. You know, even when that like a little bit of Novocaine, if they say, oh, it's only supposed to last 5 hours, it's going to last 2 days for me. And for 2 days, I'm going to feel it, and it's annoying. You're touching something that doesn't have feeling, and especially when it gets thrown on my throat, where I feel like I need to feel myself breathe. I need to feel, you know, I need to feel my throat. You know what I mean? I need to know that I'm not choking or anything like that. So when I'm in there, I tell the guy, I'm like, I'm hypersensitive with Novocaine, bro. I go, I'd even be willing for you to pull my tooth out without it. And I'm telling you, I won't hurt anybody. You just grab it and yank it out, do whatever you got to do. I go, I can handle the pain. And he's like, man, he's like, I know some tough people. He's like, nobody. He's like, let me just give you a little bit. Man, when he does that, same thing happens, dude. I start having a panic attack. Angel's right next to me. I'm spitting in my hand. I'm like, I can't feel my throat. And with this one, he hits the right by the tooth, and then that little thing in the back, and he might even, I don't think he hit the top one, but when he hit this one in the back, that's like the whole cheek. When he hits that, oh God, did that hurt, man? I don't think he wasn't a nice little jab. Yeah, I think he went in there hard, man. He does that, and he takes like 30 minutes after doing that, over 30 minutes coming back. He's like, we might need to apply Novocaine again, Novocaine again, because he's tied up and everything else. I'm like, it is so numb right now. I go. As time goes by, the numbingness hasn't stopped. It's increased. And I go, I don't like the way it feels. And I'm like, I'm barking at people. Like, I'm like, just pull it out. And do you have anything that you can give me to take the Novocaine away? And they're like, no, we don't. I'm like, I told you it was hypersensitive. I was like, just don't put any more in. I don't care. So, of course, I open my mouth when he gets back, and it's about an hour. He's like, are you sure you don't need any more Novocaine? I'm like, I'm telling you, dude. I go, every minute that passes is more and more. It's feeling super strong. He starts yanking the tooth, and he's getting it loose. He's doing his thing, and then he stops. And I mean, when he's doing it, I can hear it in my ears. Like I could hear like a little bit of cracking. And when he's doing that, he goes back in. And when he goes back in, I don't feel anything like, I don't feel a pulling sensation. And I thought he gave me another shot of Novocaine. And I told him, I said, hold on. And he's like, no, there is no hold on. And when he said that, that really upset me. And I came out that seat like Undertaker. I came out that seat, and I told him, I started barking at him, and I was in his face, and I got extremely mad. And I was like, you don't ever lie to me. You don't ever lie to somebody who's told, I told you I was hypersensitive, and if you would have snuck me more, I was like, I feel it more. You did give me more, didn't you? And I was barking at this guy, and I was like an inch away from his face, and I was very upset. Angel was right there, and my mom could calm me down a little bit. Angel can calm me down a lot. Her daughters can calm me down. When my grandmother was alive, my grandmother was the one who could calm me down in certain situations. Angel's the only person else, Angel and her kids, her two daughters can calm me down real quick. Just them being near me will make me remember where I'm at and what I'm going through, and that I don't need to act a fool. Like, they can snap me back to reality, basically, right? She tells me to, please calm down. He didn't do it. She wouldn't lie to me, and I trust her. So I sit down, and then when I sit down, he asks Angel, he's like, am I going to be all right? Because he asked something like, am I going to be all right? I don't want to touch him if he's going to hurt me. And she's like, no. He just doesn't want to be lied to, and he did tell you he's hypersensitive. Just finish what you're doing. I promise you, he's not going to do anything. And then she's telling me, she's like, I swear to God, Alien, he did not put more in, and he's not going to let him finish it. And I said, okay. Gets back in there and pulls the tooth out. Does that, then he just double checks to make sure there's a blood clot, and then boom. Thankfully, I didn't drive myself there. Angel actually picked me up from my apartment, packed me full of gauze. At that point, he was like, who wants to see the tooth? Angel looked at it. Of course, she was right next to me. I said, I can't look at it. She told me it was actually absolutely horrendous. And she said that in the video as well, like in the car with her. And then she tells me, protect yourself about dry socket. You've never had your tooth pulled before. Dry socket will be 3 times more pain that you've probably ever felt in your mouth. It'll be 3 times worse than that toothache you've had. That was my only toothache I've ever had in my life, was that wisdom tooth. And that's why I had it pulled. She tells me, don't drink anything hot, too hot or too cold. Don't sip from straws. Don't suck your lips to spit or anything like that. Baby that side of your mouth, and eat soft food, and don't smack too hard and stuff like that, and don't eat any candy. Don't eat any candy. And I'm like, okay. So that's the dentist stuff. I ask that if you've got this far, to please hit the like button and drop the subscribe and all that good stuff. If you watch this far, at least put in the comments section, put the word tooth, TOOTH. And as always, I want to thank everybody so much.